process for starting an independent inquiry in Oldham is now underway. The Council's Labour group agreed to support an inquiry after losing overall control of the council elections, and this is after the former Labour-led council voted 7 times to reject the motion with the latest vote.
Right, well, we're joined in the studio by our reporter, Charlie Peters. This is all about grooming gangs, we should say. Bring us up to speed on what this means exactly.
Sure. Well, Labour has lost control of the council after rejecting this motion for several times. And Oldham, like many towns in Britain, dozens of towns, it has been caught up in this grooming gang scandal in recent years. But unlike other towns such as Telford or Rotherham, there hasn't been that style of inquiry into the crisis there, into what happened in the town. They have had a review, led by the Greater Manchester Authority, which came out in 2022, which found that there were significant safeguarding failures, particularly in the 2000s. But they said that lessons were being learnt from that. However, last year, a Freedom of Information request found that the number of referrals for child sexual exploitation being sent by social services or Greater Manchester Police had rocketed by 580% in 8 years. A very significant number.
So why? Why have they rocketed?
Well, the council at the time said that this was due to a greater understanding of CSE in the town, with a better training for staff, better awareness. But local survivors in the town that I've spoken to have said that actually it's because many of the failures that occurred during the peak of this crisis are ongoing and lessons haven't actually been learned, and so there are many new victims who just aren't being picked up. 580% rise might just be...
It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful that this around the country, wherever it's been, Rotherham or Oldham or wherever, that people have got away with this. And the thing is, these towns know who these people are, and they operate out of coffee shops, and they operate out of barbers, and they operate out of, I don't know, but there's community areas whereby they have massage parlours and all sorts of things, and people know where this goes on and they get away with it. So how with impunity do they get away with it? If people know, if there are victims, and I understand a lot of the victims don't talk, but people know what's going on.
Yeah, a lot of the time, but they don't have confidence in the police to deal with the problem. And so last year the government launched an NCA-led task force. That's a national crime agency, Britain's FBI. It's a national service. It doesn't have some of the local political concerns that other forces might have. And that, the government said, has made a real difference. Last week, the Safeguarding Minister, Laura Farris, told me that they'd made some 550 arrests in the last year. They've trained 400 officers, and they've been to all 42 forces in England and Wales to deliver new training and give new data analysts. That is really crucial to tackling this problem, to get an understanding of the networks at play. But here in Oldham, the change is very political. It's less about policing, it's more about politics. Because earlier this month, when Labour lost control of the council, they dropped down to 27 seats. It's a 60-seat council, so they didn't have that majority rule. And that's been very rare over the last 40 years. In part due to the grooming scandal, this has been an ongoing area of very toxic politics in Oldham, actually, but also due to the ongoing war in the Middle East. Several Labour candidates lost their seats. Oldham is about 25% Muslim, way above the national average of around 7%. So a very significant vote there, leaning away from Labour. And that's created the situation where, in order to get a minority rule, the Labour candidate there, the Labour leader and the executive have, according to sources who've spoken to us yesterday, agreed to pushing forward a Telford-style or Rotherham-style, judge-led, panel-led independent inquiry.
This is independent?
Yes.
Independent, yeah. And it's absolutely disgraceful. I've got no tolerance for this at all, because there are people within various communities, they know who these people are, they know what's going on, and young girls are being damaged for the rest of their lives. We're talking about children. We're talking about children 10, 12, 14 years of age being used by these men, and everyone knows who these men are. We need to root them out, name them and shame them. Thank you very much.